Welcome to the Finance Committee meeting of Thursday, June 16th. I'll open up the meeting by asking for a motion to open.
Motion to open the meeting.
Motion by Marie,
Second?
second by Bill. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, that carries 3-0-0, and we are open for business at 6:35 p.m. I know we don't have any meeting minutes to review, but the main article tonight is the CPC article for special town meeting, and we have the town administrator here. Most folks have a lot of questions.
I have one or two.
Go ahead, fire
One or
away.
two.
Yeah, sure.
Just in way of explanation for those that might see this.
Yeah.
Okay? The $50,000, not, painting is, we need to do that, we need to
Yep.
fix it, we need to paint it.
Yep.
I would have a question is, how often does something like this go out to bid again?
The roof and the painting and all of that?
Yeah, in the town, I mean, is it commonplace you just do it once and done?
Well, it depends, and probably on how many people you'd get to bid, what the schedule looks like. Certainly, they wouldn't be able to do this work in a winter season, so it's really meant for spring, summer, fall type of
So
season.
it's more time sensitive, one of the reasons is it's time sensitive.
Correct, yeah.
Good enough, good enough. The other one is the $50,000. I was hoping that Daryl would be here maybe to talk about that,
Mhm.
not at length, but just an explanation. What do we, I see our description here, review interior needs, mechanical, plumbing, electrical, code compliance, and accessibility. So what are we really gonna, are we gonna get some kind of a printout for the $50,000, or what are we gonna be getting for
Yeah.
$50,000?
So the first, basically going before the community preservation, we told, we need some additional money to complete the project. And they said, well, what's going on? Is that the exterior? Is that what? And I said, yep, I told them it's the roof, it's painting, it's fixing the columns and the steeple. I go, interior, we're not doing anything. So they said, well, can we start looking at that? I said, yeah, we'd have to, hire someone and they'd go in and put a plan together. And so I got someone to give me a quick estimate of about $50,000, so that when I went before the community preservation, I'd say, here's what our rough estimate is. But I'd still have to go out and get quotes, get specifics on what's gonna be done. It could be, I could get someone for $30,000. We could get someone applies for $60,000. It's just an estimate on what it would be for them to look at the heating and ventilation system. If there's painting that needs to be done interior, the electrical system, we don't know when that was updated. If we're gonna start to use it for a public purpose, there's certain code compliance we have to meet, and certain accessibilities we have to meet, and they'll identify all that in a plan. They'll say, you need access to the front of the building, both the building, the back, you need a handicap bathroom, and they basically put together a punch list and plans to say this is what you need to do. And then we'd take that and go out to bid and say, okay, we want to fix the interior, how much is it gonna cost? And we'd be sort of the similar situation as
So
this.
do you know, is there already any kind of wheelchair access there?
There isn't.
At all?
There isn't any at all.
That says it, that's.
And the bathrooms aren't handicap
Says it
accessible.
right.
Yeah,
they're
that's a
not.
good cost.
Yeah.
That says it right
Yeah.
there. All
There are
right,
some
thank
things,
you.
there's some things you can do, right? I mean, you can kind of build an outbuilding which has an elevator or
Correct.
access, right? No.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
Well, cheaper than
Yeah, yes.
redoing
Right, exactly.
that type of stuff,
Mhm.
so, but it's not cheap, no matter what you do.
and there's certain
Right.
thresholds, so we have to, once you get to a certain percentage of the cost of the building, I think it's 25-30%, then you have to address all of the accessibility and code issues. So right now with the painting doesn't require a permit. Fixing the roof is less than what the threshold is in the steeple, so we're right below the threshold where we wouldn't have to fix all those things. But the next time we go in to do anything, we're over that limit, we'd have to do all those improvements, so.
Well, if Daryl doesn't mind, since you're here, you're on the CPC, right? So,
He just gave
Yeah.
exactly what,
well, I know, but I just kind of had another.
Well, from the CPC's perspective, I mean, we're proponents, we bought the meeting house we opposed to the town to buy it. We understood, I don't think anybody had blinders on, that the amount of money allocated was gonna be enough to do the whole thing in the shape it was. I think it's a little surprising that it's that much, but
It is what it is.
prevailing wage, lead paint, you add those two together.
The first estimate that we got, I think it was done, 3 years ago? And that because of the economy, I think prices were lower than, than they are now, so.
Yeah.
that makes
Yeah, and I
sense.
think, Ronnie Corcoran they were doing the old town hall.
Right.
So we kind of asked them, it wasn't a formal quote, I don't think, it was more back of a napkin. Can you go over and look at this?
Right.
Give us a rough estimate of what we're getting into. And I think it was 300, it was up there,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yeah.
but like you said, once you start taking things apart, it gets more rot than you thought.
Right.
And, but, so that's, as Kurt mentioned, that's one piece, and then as we went high on that estimate only because it's not
Right.
like you can come get a funding source quickly. They'd have to go through another town meeting, so if we
Right.
allocated 25 and it was 40, things would stop unless you found some money somewhere, but it's very tough for that type of stuff. You'd have to come back in front of the CPC, get more allocated, have another town meeting, and you're talking another 4, 5, 6 month window, so.
Well, I was asking Daryl more specifically, that this money here is historical. Is that coming out of that 10% that's set aside for historical?
It can, or it can come out of the what do they call it, I call it the U fund, the
Yeah.
undesignated fund.
Okay,
So you must allocate 10%, and that's in that pocket.
correct.
You could use that, but it really doesn't have to, it can come out of the undesignated just as well as it could come out of the.
Whatever your committee decides.
Yeah, really, I don't know how the warrant article is.
I think you voted for the undesignated fund, because that had more,
Yeah.
Right.
that had more money in it.
Yeah, so it's one of those things, I think the law did that so that the communities were forced to at least spend that much on things. And then the rest they could spend on whatever, but.
And the other question I have is that, are we borrowing money to do this? Or is this money that we have?
No money we have.
Good,
Yeah.
thanks.
Yeah, there's still, even by paying off the affordable housing units in last town meeting and the meeting house, we didn't borrow for that. So the meeting house is ours, free and clear. These will be paid for free and clear. So really, the only debt the town has through the CBC piece is the old town hall. And that's at about 2 million.
Yep.
Maybe a little less because we made it out of payment plan.
Beautiful.
And I think we've got about $1 million, a little over $1 million undesignated that can be used for stuff, so it's in pretty good shape.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
My question for the $50,000, is that just to do a study of what needs to be done, or is actually to do some work?
Now, it would be basically to review what needs to be done and put together a plan and specs on how to replace and fix all those things,
Okay.
so.
Was there anything, I recalled the conversation, but I didn't recall the final piece. The barn,
Yeah.
to touch on a touchy subject. Plans around that, with or without this money, or just in general for?
The
fall
plans
town
are
meeting?
done, so we could use those plans and go out to bid again if we wanted to.
As a barn, basically, to
As a barn.
resurrect it as the
Yeah,
structure.
we're just trying to determine what the maximum use could be. Could we, as those plans are done, can we rent it out? Can people go in it? Do we need like water to allow people in it? So right now, we just have to figure out what's that use? Is it gonna be used? Or is it gonna be, it's just, we spent all this money, it's a barn and you can look at it and store things in it. So once we figure out what we can use it for, then we'll have a better picture. But I'm also looking at other options so that we have basically pricing. If somebody says, what if you do that? I can say, this is the cost. What if we do that? This is the cost. So probably a bunch of different options we want to get figures and prices on so people can have an idea.
So the plan at town meeting is to give an A or a B.
Right.
A, fix it up, B.
Well, it could be A, B,
do
C, or D,
right,
but we'll
whatever
have,
the option-
yeah.
some options so
Yeah.
that we get that done, yeah, good. One of the pieces, the rec department, in the shuffling of buildings, the rec department has been looking at the meeting house as a
Mhm.
potential destination for them,
Yep.
right, at some point?
Yeah.
So having a barn, I mean, I know it's an expensive expensive little shed. Reed's Ferry probably could put a cheaper one there, but with a historical piece in mind, I mean, we could get some use out of it with that, and I'm sure they could find some use for whatever they have and do.
So what's gonna happen with the old senior center on Lakeview Avenue?
Anybody on dibs for that?
I have some ideas, but I really, it's just one person's ideas.
But
I-
that's how the ball starts rolling, you
Yeah.
know?
I mean, I'd like to, one of my options would be to take it down, and then when we're looking at replacing Fire Station 2,
Mhm.
we have a site there, and we could build a Fire Station 2 in 10, 12, 15 years.
Mhm.
The other option is that recreation could use that as well. There's a ball field over there,
Mhm.
there's parking. I
Right.
think they do all their softball games there too, so that's another option as well. So those are kind of the two that I've kind of talked about.
And I think maybe not the master plan, but at least the thinking is for the public safety building or buildings.
Mhm.
I think the building at this point, right?
Yeah.
Something that would house police, fire, and EMS, is to work on that over the next 4 or 5 years. We've got a big chunk of money that comes out of the budget in year 4, maybe 5.
Yeah, probably 2020, so pretty
So
close.
it's not too far away. So.
Yeah.
And it takes 3 or 4 years, maybe more to do, to get that in some shape that you could bring it
I
to
think
the public.
if we sat down and really got together and figured it out and had a site, that the fiscal year 19, we could go and ask for, get money to design the building. And then the following year, fiscal year 20, we could actually get money to construct it. So that's if we can find the right site, and that's really the toughest part, is finding the right site and find out what are we gonna do with the other, the
Yeah.
police station. I think we'd sell. I really would get rid of it. We wouldn't wanna use that for anything. It's not historic. It's and then the fire station. I know sewer has talked about using that. Maybe they'd have their trucks there, the sewer department.
Good use for that, yeah.
Yeah, maybe even recreation, that's a good site for recreation. So I think we have people that would be willing to take that building on.
Mhm.
The other piece is, I know we're looking at the Winslow School, and so we're talking about whether we can move Town Hall to Winslow School. Cause we need a little bit more space. The library needs a little more space, they sort of take over, and then we have this space, which either the school administration's trying to go, maybe they could use this space over here for them, or sewer department is here, and maybe even the media studio's here. So there's a bunch of moving pieces that we're gonna try to start to put into place and figure out a plan.
Good.
But it's really just going out there, pitching all these ideas, getting feedback, and kind of
And
taking
getting
all
the
that.
support from the town.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. There's no further discussion. I'll take a motion to recommend Article 1 for a special town meeting.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Motion by Darrell. Have a second? Second by Marie. Any further discussion?
Parking spaces around the community parish meeting house, are there, has that been plotted out at all by any chance?
In fact, I've actually got a couple of names of people to start to look at a landscape / paving design, so that's the next step.
So that's
Yeah.
on the drawing board. Anything else on the drawing board for the first parish meeting house beyond what's presented here?
Nope.
I think, that's what we were discussing, right? And the grand vision,
Right.
I think of many people, is to have that center of town beautified and used, both, right?
Yeah, I think if you know, for example, if Town Hall moved to the Winslow, and that whole tree area would kind of clean up a little bit, so you'd see the Winslow School.
Yeah.
And even where that sort of street is, that could even be incorporated into that, where maybe you have some parking there, and you could either go across to Old Town Hall, or it'd be a staircase up to the Winslow School or something like that, just to kind of open that area up. But that's something that would be professionally designed and laid out, and so.
So the
There's
C-
also the space behind Dr. Bounds, you know,
Oh,
that
yeah,
you use
yeah.
for parking space
Mhm.
for, you know, the different
Yeah.
buildings.
But parking discussion, has that been on the CPC or in other areas?
I don't think on the CPC, but it has been a part of the whole project
Right.
there, about, you know, that, was it the cut through there, and how to
Yeah,
redo
the
that whole thing.
rearranging too.
Yeah, right.
That's kind of a
There's
funny,
There's a fair
funny
amount of
way to
parking.
get into that.
Yeah, if done, there's a fair amount of parking. For that building,
Yeah,
there
yeah.
probably is plenty to.
Yeah, there's a lot.
And how about capacity, roughly 280, 300?
For what,
For-
parking?
No, inside,
Oh,
The old parish building.
the old
as it
parish?
stands right now.
I mean, it depends on the use.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I guess that would be something that we would look at as they look at code compliance and, you know, how many people could we fit in the building and
That's
so
true.
forth. There's a certain per square foot that you're allowed, I think, per person or something like that.
Right.
Well, there's a basement in there as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, that was,
Kitchen.
the Boy Scouts used to use the basement.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, the
One thing.
CPC funds are the perfect use of this, no matter what, you know, different ideas of uses of buildings and remodeling of buildings, but we save 3% of our base into a
Right.
fund, and the state matches it. I think last year the match was 275 or over 300,
Yeah.
a good chunk of money.
About 30% maybe.
Yeah.
That's pretty
That's
good.
good.
So that's, I would say, free money, but it's matching funds, so if you think of it, the state is picking up the tab for this,
Mhm.
right, if you look at it that way.
I would look at it that way.
So yeah, so it's, you know, some people don't, you know, they see the CPC or that is, you know, a little out of date, maybe we don't do it anymore, there's not many, you know, we're kind of
Well,
overstepping.
that started in a different way, the CPC, from day one to where we are today.
Well, they've loosened up on a little on the recreation, but I don't know, the focus has always been on historical and affordable housing.
And the first
And open
meetings I
space.
went to, I would say that's true, kind of agree with him.
Yeah.
It was about buying open space, having
No.
it in
It
open
was-
space to
yeah.
slow down growth.
Agree, yeah, okay,
That-
I can see that, yeah.
The first meetings I went to,
Yeah.
was actually at the high school.
Don't get the wrong impression.
No, I do agree with that, that's, because I think that was
When you
easy.
start one way and then you
Yeah.
come another, hopefully it's from improving.
Yeah, yeah, no,
You
you're
know,
right.
Yeah.
It has always,
Go up.
and that's why they set up the 10% for housing, affordable housing, historical and open space, you know.
Hmm.
And then undefined funding that they,
The
monies that they
rest of it,
collect,
yeah.
the rest
I
of
was
it,
trying to
yes.
remember at the beginning, when
Which-
you tell them that we had 22% growth one year, and it was a lot, that's kind of, the place kind of went
Yeah.
like this, like,
Yeah.
Yeah, the
No, it
affordable
still
housing,
is.
for example, that those, what's it, Red Pine Terrace, that 400K that was allocated, that was 10 years. Nobody had touched any of that money for 9 or 10
Yeah.
years. So nobody came in front of the committee and said, we want to do something with affordable housing. That was the first time that was used. So some of it was, you know, motivation from some people. Others were things that come in front of us, right? You know,
Mhm.
developers that say, I'm gonna put X amount of houses on there, do you wanna buy it? You know,
Mhm.
So yeah, I guess I do agree with the open space was a big
Finally.
piece, yeah. No,
I'm kidding you.
I kinda forgot, cause it was all done, and then the recreation took a lot of it. I did, yeah. I have a shorter memory than yours. You go way back.
We
A
have-
better memory.
I read the fine print.
We have a motion on the floor, motion made by Darrell, seconded by Marie, to recommend Article 1. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, that carries 5-0-0. And so people know, we have firmed up a date to do School Budget 101. I believe it's a Wednesday night, July 27th. I've asked Kurt to extend an invitation to the selectmen also, so we have both groups together seeing and hearing the same presentation. I believe we're gonna have Dawn, the assistant superintendent, and incoming new superintendent, Mike Flanagan, as well as Joe Messina, the business director and come with all your questions, and they are gonna be going through a lot of stuff.
Will we receive unaudited fiscal 217 data prior to July 27? Because if we're working on 11 or 10 and a half months, 11 and a half months, irregardless of the last 2 or 3 weeks' figures, as far as you know, will we get at least an unaudited figure of June 30th, 2016, right now?
I will ask, because basically,
It just
one of the
makes
reasons
sense.
that we wanted to do it in July was to
I don't
close the
know how
books.
long it takes them to close, I shouldn't say them, I hate the pronoun. I don't know how to close their books, but close. I remember speaking, what's the girl's name again, that we bumped into there?
Carrie.
Huh?
Carrie.
Carrie, the girl that takes care of the treasury stuff. And she told me they need time when we close June 30th with the municipal budget to do various things. Like there was one item that they paid after the financial, they put it on the thing, that kind of thing, which is okay. It's a business type of thing. But if it's possible, in Excel format, to get that.
I don't think you're gonna get it in Excel format.
If they can dump it into.
You can't do anything except read the PDF.
I know, but there's also a point of, when you start giving out Excel spreadsheets with all your budget data, it also starts getting to the point of, are we getting to micromanaging a little? Which, moving things around and saying, well, if we did this, so I'm a little wary about an Excel spreadsheet.
So you don't think they'll free up Excel, they'll just send a PDF?
I'll ask.
I'd like to check the formulas,
And
that's
you
all.
want revenue expenses, as importantly, you want a balance sheet, I assume.
Well,
We want.
this is municipal government. No, it took it on to transition from the public sector to this.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is you want the expenses and revenues, that's clear. And that should line up, and it usually does with the school folks. There's nothing left
Yeah,
over.
that would be nice.
But you want to see the buckets. Right. And you're gonna to get a balance sheet, that's where the buckets are.
Right. Is that asking too much?
Well,
Why do you have a finance committee when their mission is to oversee the stuff, okay? Everything.
No, I don't think it's asking too much, and it shouldn't be. If somebody says, oh, that's a labor of whatever to get, then we have a bigger problem.
There's software out there that converts PDF to Excel, Excel to
Well, I run a business, I use QuickBooks, which is a commonly known one for small business and medium-sized business. And with a stroke of a few strokes, you can get a comparison of any date you want. Pretty
Because the
quickly.
the database is all there.
It's there, that's right.
And then it's just a matter of how you want to see it. That's all it is, really.
So I don't think it's unfair to ask for that. Anybody should be able to do that without loss.
Also in a timely fashion, meaning not July 26th, the day before. Because it's gonna take a lot to look at that. You can look at the April 22nd one that came out, I think the 22nd of April, that we worked on it. And I found a few things there. But
So we'll ask, right?
Yeah,
We'll ask
I'll
if
ask.
it's
I'll talk to
on.
Dawn.
Good, okay.
I'll take a motion then to adjourn.
to where?
Home. Which would be nice.
I got work to do.
I make a
when get
motion
home.
to adjourn the meeting.
I
Ray
second
makes
it.
motion, second by Bill. Any good
So
discussion?
July 27th.
Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, and we close at 6:59.
Thank you.